What's up, guys? In today's video we are going to talk about something very cool, which is shortcuts in Visual Studio Code. You are going to see that this is very useful and you can do a lot of useful and cool things. So the first cool feature of Visual Studio Code that I want to show you is, for example, let's go to a very, something long, and here I have something long. So imagine that you want to move this line up here. So what you would do maybe is to press, select this, Ctrl+x, now come here, enter, and put this here. There's a very easy way to do this, which is just click here, go to the line that you want to move, press Alt, and then the arrows. So for example, I'm pressing Alt and the up arrow, and look, I just move this wherever I want. So this is a very cool feature that you can use here. And for example, let's say I want to move the print 4. Instead of taking that, whenever you want to move it in a very close place, you just have to press Alt and the arrows, and you can move this line very easily. Another cool feature that we can see is the Ctrl+c. So usually when you want to copy something, you come here, you copy this, and then come here, press here, that. No, there's an easier way, and something you have to know is that whenever you whenever you are in a line and you press Ctrl+c to copy, you are copying all the line, all. So now if I press Ctrl+v, now I copied all the line, and now it's as simple as taking the Alt and the arrows and putting this wherever I want. So that's a cool feature. And another cool feature is that instead of using Ctrl+c, what you can do is Ctrl+x. So imagine that you want to move this line, but you want to move it very far, and by doing this, you are going to take a lot of time. So what you have to do is to press Ctrl+x. You take the line, as you have seen. You don't have to select anything. No, you just need to have the cursor, I think it's the name. You just need to have that a straight line saying where you are writing. You just need to have that there and press Ctrl+x. Now you go wherever you want to put that, and if I wanted to put this here, you can put this in this line, press Ctrl+v, and now you put this on top of the line. So every time you use Ctrl+c or Ctrl+d, what you are doing is that putting that on top of the line. So for example, if I do this, Ctrl+c, I go here, I'm going to put that on top of this line. So I put this on top of this line. Another cool thing that I can show you is the Ctrl+f and all the things that you can do with that. But for that, let me open a C file. I think this one will be very cool, and is that, for example, if you want to search something, you can double click here and say, hey, where do I use this? Double click and Ctrl+f, and now if you press these arrows, you can see wherever you used this. So let's say that, yeah, for example, sometimes we use the I as a counter for loop. So for example, let's say that I did for I, and yeah, so on. So if I want to look for this I, maybe I have issues, because if I do Ctrl+f, you see all the I's that this is selecting, like it's selecting all the I's in the code. But I can say, hey, I just want the variables which name is only I. So I press this second symbol, and now I'm just going to look for the unique I's. So here I have one, and here I have another one, and that's truly cool. Another thing is that, for example, this is in capital letters and this one is not. So I don't want that changes. So if I press this other symbol, you can only have the ones which is the one that you are looking for. So for example, this one is not with capital letters, and now you are only looking for I's that are not in capital letters. Another thing is that here you can put regular expressions, but I don't use them very much. So yeah, that's another thing that you can do. And in Another thing with this searching thing is that imagine that now I change the name of this variable. So I change this name and I have to change this in all these places. I have to come here, then here, then here, and change all that. This is the best thing that you can imagine that you can do. So for example, one thing that I can do is that, okay, I'm going to select this, and you see all these that are highlighted. Now you press Ctrl and D. So now, as you can see, I'm selecting all those. And let's say that instead of calling this sem1, I want to call that semaphore1. So I put here semaphore1, but check this out. All those ones have been changed, and in fact, if I put this, you are currently changing all the ones that you selected, and that's with the Ctrl+D. So let me do that again so that you can see that in this case we are going to change sem2, and each time you press Ctrl+D you are going to select another one. So for example, here we are in sem2, and okay, now we selected this one, but the other ones are not selected. So we want to select this one as well. We press Ctrl+D again, and now we selected all those, and you can see this here. So this is very useful, but it's useful whenever you don't want to change all the ones you have in the code, because if you want to change all the ones you have in the code and the code is very big, you may take a little bit of time with the Ctrl+D. And again, you can use the Ctrl+f, and here, pressing here, you can replace this word with another one. So it is the same as doing the previous thing, but here is not as interactive as it was before. So for example, here I can put semaphore2, and now what I can say is, okay, replace where is a sem2 with semaphore2, and you can go one by one or all. So for example, if I go one by one, this one has changed, the first one, but this one has not. And you can see here that instead of having one of three, we have one of two. But if we want to change these two at the same time, we can do this, and now both have changed, this one and this one. Let's do this with the semaphore one, because as you can see, there are more sem1s. And again, we are going to do this, sem1, and put here semaphore1. So if I press this, all those five have been changed. So semaphore1, 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 and semaphore1. And I think that's almost all. Let me do another cool thing that you may use, and it's the Alt. If you just press the Alt and you click wherever you want, so for example, keep pressing the Alt and click, for example, here. As you can see, now you have the cursor here, and now if you, for example, click here, you have it here, and now if you put the here and here, you have here, and if I write, I'm writing in all those places at the same time. So this is very cool, and this is very useful in the case that, for example, let's do something cool, which is that we are going to create a C file, and let's say that we have all these values, A, B, well, not this, A, B, C, oh my god, C, D, and E. And what we want to do, oh my god, what we want to do is that we want to print all these values. So we want to do 5 printfs. So for example, what we can do is that we are going to create several lines, and now you press Ctrl Alt and the arrows, the up arrows and the down arrows. And as you can see, you are creating several lines to edit them at the same time. So now here I have 5 lines selected, and I can write in those 5 lines at the same time. So what I can do, one thing is that this is different in Linux. In Linux is Mayus, Ctrl Shift, and here in Windows is Ctrl Alt. Now what you can do is that, for example, printf, and you put number, and for example this D, and imagine that this D had a value, and now you want to write that value so bad. So for example, the thing that you can do, which is very useful, is that you can select all these, and if you copy this, like just doing this, you have a problem. But if you, for example, do this, Ctrl+Alt down, and you now copy it, you can see that you copied all these values here in order. And this is truly magic. Like, this is truly magical. And yeah, you copied also the spaces, but if you didn't have spaces, this would have been like something like this. And another cool feature is that, for example, if you now want to change whatever is behind here, you just press the Ctrl+d. Now you put your cursor here and you say that, oh, you also want to print this was the number. So that's for the Visual Studio shortcuts. Like, this is truly very useful and it's going to make you more productive. And if you found this useful, give it a like, share, because this one is pure fire. Share it, and see you in the next one.
Ay.